Hi, I'm Jimmy, and when talking about memorable episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, well, this one's inevitable, isn't it? I mean, it's an episode that everyone always talks about, even if they don't know it's actually a real episode. Like, they'll be like, wouldn't it be funny if that happened? Ha ha ha. And then you're like, well, that did happen. And they're like, oh, really? That's a real thing? So yeah, we kind of have to talk about it. Oh yeah, this is the one where the fish dies.
It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside, and when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that we're friends. You always make each day a special day for me.
So there are two things that all people always know about Mr. Rogers: taking off the sweater and shoes, and feeding the fish. Those are the things people always reference and always make jokes about. So there's a strange little bit of morbid curiosity when you hear that there's actually an episode where one of the fish dies. 'Cause there is. Fred starts this episode by showing us a piece of wood.
It's a piece of wood with 5 sides.
Yeah, don't worry, it gets more exciting from here.
Could you say that? Hi. Picture, picture. Please show us the name of the film for today. Fish.
After Picture Picture shows us a beautiful video about fish, Fred makes an unfortunate discovery.
Take a look at the aquarium. Do you see a dead fish? A dead fish would be one that isn't swimming or breathing or anything at all. Look down there and see, will you? See if you see any.
Did it just move? I swear I just saw that dead fish move. Fred then says that no food should go to waste, but he needs to add salt. Actually, he says he's going to try and revive it with some warm salt water, which as a kid sounded like some kind of crazy voodoo to me. I suppose if this happened nowadays, we could always Google it. And by the way, for those of you who are interested, there is a wiki article on this subject, including how to revive a goldfish with an air pipe, a garlic bath, and a stress coat water conditioner.
Guess we better bury it. We'll find a place back here in the yard.
Fred then buries the fish in a small place on the set behind the porch. I'm going to let this next part play because it is vintage Fred Rogers.
When I was very young, I had a dog that I loved very much. Her name was Mitzi. And she got to be old, and she died. And I was very sad when she died, because she and I were good pals. And when she died, I cried. And my dad said we'd have to bury Mitzi. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to bury her because I thought I'd just pretend that she was still alive. But my dad said that her body was dead and we'd have to bury her. So we did.
Watching a moment like this with Fred, it's easy to understand why everyone remembers this episode. Then we go back into the house with Fred, and he shows us a picture of his dog Mitzi.
My dog Mitzi.
Fred then rounds out this portion of the show by singing Sometimes People Get Sad.
Sometimes people get sad, and they really do feel bad.
It's just a brilliantly done sequence of showing someone handling death, and on a children's show, no less. It's really hard to imagine seeing something like this on TV now, or maybe ever again. Now it's time for make-believe, and notice this particular part here where Fred shows us exactly how the trolley works.
I like the way the trolley works. I'm going to show you. Have I ever shown you underneath here? See the trolley wheels? And then there's electricity in the tracks here. And when those wheels touch the tracks at just the right way, then the trolley can move.
As the trolley enters make-believe, it stops completely dead on the tracks. Totally confusing Lady Aberlin and Bob Dog.
Something's wrong with the trolley, Bob Dog.
Is it dead?
I don't know what's the matter with it.
Lady Aberlin decides she's going to go get Dr. Bill to see if he can
Something's wrong
help.
with the trolley. I don't know what it is.
Oh, can you no find what the trouble is?
Well, I didn't look, Dr. Bill. I didn't really look, but I know there's trouble.
You mean the trolley won't move?
Well, I mean, it's right over at the castle, but it won't whistle or ding or move.
And you're sure that the power's on?
Come on, Dr. Bill, we don't have all day. But thankfully, Dr. Bill pulls it together and saves the trolley.
Trolley.
Yes.
Oh!
It's going to work now.
You did it, Dr.
There we are.
See you tomorrow.
Maybe. Fred decides he's going to use the pentagon he brought and make that into a marker for the fish's grave. Outside, he runs into Bob Troll.
Friend Fred. How are you? One of my fish died.
Oh, which one?
The little one, you know, it was about this big and it had a light-colored belly and a dark back.
Blue sides?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
That little back and forth makes me laugh. I don't know why. So Bob Troll helps Fred make a little marker for the dead fish, and the two place it on the grave. I also want to point out that at the beginning of the next episode, Fred actually goes back to the grave to check on it. So there is some continuity there, which is nice.
Everybody has different things that he does when he's sad. That's why everybody is so special, because everybody is different. That's why I like you so much.
It's true that this may have been one of Fred's finest half hours, because Fred has a way to make you forget the most important thing about this episode. It's an episode, because Fred didn't just walk onto the set and find a dead fish. That's part of the story. As I've said before, I'm always fascinated with the different levels of reality on display in the neighborhood. 1 minute Fred shows you how the trolley works, and the next he's pretending to revive a dead fish, even though he knows it's dead the minute he enters the room. The story beats are all there. Fred brings in a pentagon that he uses to make a headstone at the end of the show with the help of Bob Troll, who just happens to stop by. Picture Picture shows us a video about fish. There's a parallel story in Make-Believe about the trolley dying. And Mr. Rogers just happens to have a photo of his childhood pet with him at his television home. This is all written in the script. But here's what really fascinates me. Since this is all in the script and it's all pretend, that means someone had to physically plant the dead fish there, right? Now don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting foul play here, but seriously, someone had to put a dead fish in that tank. That was someone's job on set. And what is that particular fish's actual backstory? Did it die weeks before on set and that inspired the episode? Did they keep it in a fridge until it was time to shoot? I mean, fish do die all the time, so did they just play the waiting game and the minute one of them dropped dead, they were just like, let's shoot this thing? Or did they simply go down to a pet store and purchase a dead fish?
It's a stiff, bereft of life, it rests in peace.
But the real point here is that Fred Rogers is so good at making us believe the reality of this that we never question the narrative. He has a way of making this all seem as though it's actually happening, prompting us to realize that we have to make peace with the inevitable and make the best of the time we have here. Because Fred certainly did.
I have no fear of dying. And, you know, I would be very glad to talk with anybody about the joy of going on. You know, what's next?
Some things I don't understand. Some things are scary and sad. Sometimes I even get bad when I'm mad. Sometimes I even